about this thing we getting ready to get down with right now. This thing is all about you, right? The value of yourself. We place a lot of value on a lot of different things, like companies or the things that people are doing. Rarely do we take time to really place appropriate amount of value on ourselves. In this episode today, value yourself. This is exactly what we're all about. This is exactly what we're about to do, right? And although my episode name didn't change out here on Restream, it is value yourself. Now go get your friends, go get your family members, go get some folks that you guys have been just talking to, man. And y'all been talking about, everything that's going on in this world, good, bad, and different. And then you've been talking about where you want to go and what you want to do and what that starts to feel like, what that starts to look like. Go ahead and get them to chime in right now. This is all about you. And this is all about the value of you. And this is what we're going to deal with. This is what we're going to address today. So I want you to be free to go ahead and, chime in, shoot your text in. I read those things. I'm going to give you a response to the best of my ability. Now, I'm going to tell you something right off the break. I'm not an expert, but I have some things that I have learned along the way. And there's some experts that I've leaned on in order to bring this little short segment on value yourself. Now, check this out. My man, George, he's out. We praying with him and his family right now. We believing that God's going to do something absolutely amazing. He's a good dude. We all going to miss him. Y'all going to miss him. I'm going to miss him. But we getting ready to get down right now. So value. Check this out. Now, value, the regard that something is held to deserve, right? The importance, worth, or usefulness of something. Value. A person's principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life. It could be the rules and the regulations and the values of your parents. You could have a basis there. You could have gathered those values nowadays from social media, from wherever you're getting those values. But nevertheless, it's a person's principles or standards of behavior, one's judgment of what is important in life, right? Value is to consider something or someone to be important or beneficial, to have a high opinion of. That's value. If you value something or someone, you think that they are important and you appreciate them. In the world we live in today, some of that is lost right now with all the anger that's been going on in the world and the killings and all those types of things. Very hurtful. I was almost I was mourning a little bit just from all of the deaths and mass shootings and beatings and everything that took place in America, but also around the rest of the world. So much anger, so much methane of anger and hatred being released in this world is just it can be troublesome. We've lost our value for each other. We've lost our value for human life, and that starts internally. Value yourself. This is what we're talking about today. Value. Values are standards or ideals with which we evaluate action, we evaluate people, things, situations. I mean, when you think about value, there's a lot of things that come to my mind when I think about value. When I think about my values, some of my values are beauty, honesty, love, wisdom, support, consideration, appreciation, justice, peace, generosity, honesty, integrity, boldness, compassion, courage, confidence, freedom, team spirit. I think about responsibility. And I put together an acronym that really capsulizes all of this for me. It's a four-letter word, and it's called LIFT. And these are my values, the principles I live by: loyalty, integrity, fidelity, and trust. LIFT. Those are value statements. They're examples of values. Some people endorse, many people endorse, but you got to have your own value system, your own values. Mine real tight. My value statement for life is have faith in God. Four words, four-letter words: loyalty, integrity, fidelity, trust. Those are my value statements. These are things that I look to. Value. Build me a nation, one person, one family at a time is what the Lord put in my spirit years ago. Value. He values his people. He values their learning, their education. How do you do this? How do you value yourself? What do you value most in your life? These are powerful questions that we should put back on the table that we should take some time to reconsider. How do you do it? How do you value yourself? How do and what do you value most in life? If you ask 9 out of 10 people, they're probably going to say money. Money will start off the list, and that's no judgment. That's just your value, and that could be a part of why we see some of the lack of value for humanity and for human beings, because we value stuff and money and all that above human life. I would consider and say today, how do you do this? How do you value yourself? What do you do? What do you value most in life? If I ask you that question right now, what is your response? First thing come off your mind. Put it in. It's no judgment. But what do you value? What I value most, I got a few of them. I just put them down when I was thinking about this. The Lord was dealing with me on this whole process. What do I value most in life? I value spending time in my relationship with God. This is a key to my spiritual, emotional, intellectual, physical, financial, and creative well-being. So I value that above everything. And then I value spending time in my relationship with my wife, my children, my family, my friends. That's key to my emotional well-being as well. I value my health, treating my body with respect, the respect it deserves. I value my wealth, how I treat my earnings and how I invest my money and how I think about leaving a legacy for my children. Value. I value my time, what I'm doing with my time and who I'm spending my time with. That's my time and the spending of my time. Those are values. I value gratitude, appreciate the miracle of life. I appreciate every morning I wake up, but I appreciate every human being that's on this planet that woke up, and I have the privilege of learning something from them. Value. I value my reputation. I don't want that to be messed up. I've had episodes in my life where my reputation got hit, dinged, because of things, people, because of my choices that I own. Reputation. I value my reputation. I value my education. I'm a learner. I love to learn. I love to grab wisdom nuggets from different people. I value giving to others. Generosity is high on my list. I value giving away, giving and sharing, teaching people how to fish, teaching business principles and leadership principles. I value those things. And I value life experiences. What an amazing world we live in with everything that's going on, all the dynamics that we see, all the things that we're experiencing. I value those life experiences. I value the impacts, good, bad, and indifferent, on my life and on the life of my family and friends. I value those things. I'm glad I'm not living and with just a gold spoon in my mouth or platinum spoon in my mouth. I'm living a real deal here. You understand? And I got to put in work, and I got to put in time, and I got to put in energy, and I've got to trust the processes of my life. I've got to love the processes in my life. I've got to learn to enjoy those processes in my life, because these processes affect me, and they affect my value. They affect my net worth. And my net worth is not just my money, but my net worth is also what I consider to be important and valuable to me. There are three types of values that students should explore. We're just being students in the game of life. And just if we have children, these are some values that we can throw in that direction, that if we don't know what a value is or what could be valuable, here's some things we can consider for our children, but also for ourselves. Character value. Character values are the universal values that we all need to exist as human beings. We have to define what character is. If we don't have a good definition of it, we can look it up. But what is character? That's a man or woman keeping their word. What is character? That's a man or woman living the authenticity of their lives, living their truth. That's character. Character is a person that is generous. Character is a person that is giving. Character is a person that does appreciate wisdom, will sit and kneel at the feet of an elder and listen to that elder drop that wisdom nugget on them, so that they can reproduce something amazing in their lives. It may not be exactly the same way, but they can reproduce something that's absolutely of incredible value, that'll bring some worth gain to the world we live in. Value. Work values. So we got character values, and you have work values. I'm so grateful to look at my sons they like workaholics. They have this great work ethic. Work values are very important today. Some people don't believe they need to work. They want to just depend upon systems to give them stuff and to feel entitled to those systems and those programs. But when you have work values are values that help you find what you want in a job and give you job satisfaction, what you want, and creating an entrepreneurial experience for yourself and creating jobs for other people. Work values, and with those come ethics, and with those come leadership qualities, with those come communication qualities, values, work values. And they transcend and they touch on so many other things, and reputation and family and gratitude and the community that you create on the job. Those are values. They come out, they tentacle out of work values, and those tentacle out of character values. And then you get into personal values. What are your personal values? I gave you some examples of mine. What are your personal values? What do you consider to be important to you? What I consider, again, my relationship to God, my relationship to family, my relationship to generosity and finances, my relationship to my health, my wealth, what I do with my time, my reputation, education. Those are values. What are your personal values? Write those down. Because this whole thing is about valuing yourself. If we had more value for ourselves, we'd have less time to spend hating on other people. We would express a gratitude and appreciation for other people, because they can help us get somewhere, and they can help us appreciate where we are, where we're going even more, and we can appreciate how we can work together to get to a better place for every man, for all humankind. What do you want your values to look like? Let me think about that. What do you want it to look like? I found that relationships built on values have amazing touch points. Um, Sometimes it could be performance driven. Other times it could be love driven. And then each one of these affects our expectations. They can complicate some of our values, but if there's shared values, then they make for smooth transitions, but also they grow. I remember when I sat and met with my wife, and we started to date. I said, "Listen, I'm a man of God. I'm going to be doing some things for the Lord. I'm going to be traveling around the world. I'm going to be working with leaders and building businesses and building ministry. I'm going to be going to school and working on my education, and I have a great appreciation for family and loving family, and family is super important to me. What I think family should be is extremely important to me. And I love animals, and I love people. I love people. Anywhere I go, there's a love and an affection and adoration for people. I just love people, and I'm a giver. And so if you can deal with this about me, that's so I was giving them my value layout. And I said, if you can deal with me on this, we can go forward. Otherwise, I don't want to mess with your time, and I don't want you to mess with my time, because this is what I'm about. This is my value. So in relationships, there should be a value to value exchange. There should be some communication about what you value, because that's honesty and that's integrity. You can create bridges of understanding. You can create bridges of communication between each other when you're honest, and you're speaking out your truth, and you're living authentically your truth. And so these are things that my wife saw in me. This is why I could say it to her. Why I said it? Because I had a martial arts business. That's how I met her. And I had a martial arts school, and I was going to elementary schools and middle schools and high schools, and I was working with young kids, and I was working with them academically, and I would give them certificates if they did extremely well academically, and I would give them free martial art uniforms, and I would train them for free for a space of time as a reward for them valuing education. So this is what I was doing, but also ran a martial arts school as a business. This is what I was doing, and I met her. She brought our oldest son, who's now my oldest son. She brought him to the martial arts school, and I was teaching executives also about training and things. And so she was in one of my executive training classes, and so these were my values. I was living my truth. I was living the authenticity of my truth. My buddy helped me start that business. My best friend, right? white brother, my white brother from another mother, and me and him, we put this business together, and we were running this business, and we built this business, and the cool thing about it is, talking about value and loving people. My first 10 students were from other countries, other nationalities, other races of people. I didn't have one other American until the 11th person that joined our business. That person was an American, white American. Not that all that matters. I'm just saying, I was speaking to my wife about my truth. I was speaking to my wife about who I am, my authentic me, and I was living these things. I was congruent with it. So I wasn't telling her one thing and living something different. I was living it, and I was explaining it to her because I dug her. I thought she was hot. She thought I was hot. You understand? And so I wanted her to catch my values because I valued my time, and I didn't want to waste my time, and I didn't want to waste her time. I valued her time. So I laid it all on the line. You understand? And so if one spouse or partner values what they want above the recognition of the other person's needs of anything, they may lose that person, or at least they're giving that other person an avenue to seek that peace and that piece of their value system elsewhere. I wanted to make sure I did that with this young lady who I value. And these values, she looked at it and she said, I can deal with that. I said, you answered too quickly. She said, no, I can deal with that. And so then she shared with me her values for family, and her value for respect, and her value for her time. And she wanted to grow in corporate America. She wanted to have more children, and she's a helper, and she's very good with a strategy and events and stuff. And she said, I can help you with your business. And this is what she did, right? And so value, we had matching values, and we had some things that were different, but the differences were good because the differences made us better. And the things that we had in common were good, but they made us better when it was with both of us working on it together. I found that relationships get the hardest when the value for one another is eroding or gone. If you don't have value, if you've not laid out your value, listen, there's needs, wants, desires, expectations, and then there must be a delivery on these things. If you've never taken the time to lay those things out with your significant other, you're behind the eight ball and you're guessing at what that person's values are. If they don't know what those things are, then both of you in a personal discovery should lay out what I like, what I dislike. Those are values in there. And that will give you a great opportunity to know what are the needs, wants, desires, and expectations. What can be a tripping point if those things are not discussed? And what can be a strong point, a foundation for building up once you've discussed those things? And in the day and time we live in now, the world we live in now, we should probably make time when we're driving from one place to the next to share some of those things. Just easy going. We should make time at the dinner table and share some of these things. We should make time in between games if we're running our children to sports events and things of that nature, which we talked about when we were laying out the value of ourselves and the value of each other being oneself. We should be looking at these things. And so this is all good stuff. So I've learned that once one person bears the weight of the value for two, that's not a relationship at all. And the value of loving self-preservation must kick in to move you to a healthy place, to a safe place, a loving place, somewhere people value you. You understand? And so we've got to get to that spot, and we've got to create that spot, and we've got to have a value and a worth for that type of thing. So I've come to learn the value of family is not always your blood. And many times it ends up becoming a community that values you and you that you valuing them. And that, well, it looks like a wonderful mosaic. You understand it? And that value is given and received like unconditional love, like personal core values and expressed and it's encouraged and it's without judgment and it allows for apologies and for failing forward. And it esteems and appreciates people at a higher net worth, and it's the celebration of uniquenesses, and it's the intellectual gifts and the powers and the contributions that are valued highly, and everybody gets to connect and network in that beauty. That's good stuff, man. That's value. I know on Facebook there's some blinking, but we still in. I've always learned the horror and the wild expense of being in a relationship where people do not value you. And you try to be loved, try to be valued, try to be seen and heard um, by certain people. And those people, you ask, you seek, you knock on the doors, and they have impenetrable walls built up. And they refuse your entry and they refuse to let you in. This is also where I've learned that this is a world of your choosing. You know, if somebody doesn't want you, that someone doesn't value you in this space, then there are other spaces for you to move into. Have some value and some esteem and some worth for yourself. You understand? You're responsible for accepting the values. You're responsible for accepting the rules that you agree that people lay down in your life. And so if those values and those rules come with certain types of punishments and things of that nature, now when you're a child, there's nothing you have a whole lot that you can say or do about that. That's just part of the process. But as an adult, you can say or do something about it. But when you have a poorly developed value system, then there's a less amount of love, there's less appreciation in that value system if it's a poor foundation, poor construct. So what I'm getting at is some people believe that their value is based on control. They're afraid to live, and they don't want people to live outside of the controls they impose on their lives. And so they build up real tight construct around what's right, what's wrong, and they want you to do this, and it's all got to be on this tight schedule. I've been guilty of that. I understand that. I know where I got it from, and I know how painful and hurtful it can be. But as I've gotten older, I've realized there's value, there's construct, and then there's choice. And you give values, and you give construct, and you give people the choice. As children, you lay the foundation. They make the choice, the final choices as they get older, because they will see the value of why you gave them some of these constructs. But if you just don't put down any values and you simply just living from a paycheck to a paycheck, you living from a worry to another worry, you're going to buy somebody's hurts, you're going to buy somebody's punishments, and you're going to involve them as layers into your life. And eventually you're going to lose yourself, and you're going to lose the value of how important, how wonderful, how unique and marvelously made you are. And so the challenge today, I'm challenging you all, challenge you over the next 21 days to create value for yourself. Value you. Don't create any more devils for yourself. You've gotten the perfect people in your life, and you've gotten the perfect hurts in your life, and they've reinforced the values that you accepted, that you allowed. And now if you accept the challenge to put better values, put a better net worth for your life in your life, you'll get that out of it. It's time to challenge your values, isn't it? I mean, today you can accept the challenge to change how you value yourself, and how you'll be valued by others, and how these values will determine what relationships you keep. So you've got to make time. That's why I say I value my time, because when I'm in my time, I'm writing down, look, this is where my life is. This is what my life has evolved into. These are the people in my life. How are they serving in my life right now? And how am I serving in their lives right now? Is this a valuable relationship that I need to continue, or do I need to discontinue this relationship because this relationship right here may not be serving my needs anymore, or the needs of that individual anymore? We've stopped growing, learning, and expressing together. And if you're in a situation like that, it doesn't mean you have to necessarily leave. You have to leave the structure of it. You have to create another value. You have to create a deeper value plex for you and those other individuals. Otherwise, it is going to be destroyed. Otherwise, it will fall apart. Some of you, even right now, you're in a relationship that the value that you had for that relationship no longer exists from what it used to be when you first met to what it is today that you're living through with pain or anger or punishments or who knows what. But that's sometimes that's a clear indication that the values of each individual needs, wants, desires, expectations are not clearly delineated. And because they're not clearly delineated, because there's a self-worth, there's a valuelessness for each individual or for one individual, then both individuals cannot be served wholly. And that cannot be a healthy relationship. If one person is healthy in a relationship and another isn't, that's a volatile mix right there. It's not going to, and it cannot work very well. It's imperative and important at those times when you sense that and you're experiencing that, to break off and start paying close attention and making it a priority to fix values for where you both are. Value yourself. No one here that's listening today or that's going to listen to this later on should allow for yourselves to be punished and undermined by anybody. And you know that because you know when the things that you say, people don't want to hear what you have to say. They don't value your opinion. When they just want to hear and have their way and say whatever they want to say and think it's the only right way, they don't value your position. They don't value your beliefs. They don't value your worth. Then you have to determine, do I value staying in this relationship when just one person has a value and believes that's the only value that exists? This is a great time to park and start to explore value. One, for you, especially if you're taking it, you make yourself a victim. Two, to explore the value as to why they believe they can do and say and get away with all of this and that it's supposed to be. Three, there's something better for both of you. You just left something seated somewhere in your life, in your journey, and a new thing needs to be picked up because new values, new net worth needs to be built. What relationships should you let go with dignity and without harm, nor with blame? What relationships are they? And then what relationships do you need to fix, reconnect on? When you're talking about the value of your time and the value of your intellect and the value of your wisdom and the value of your investment into another human being, are you at one of those places right now where you need to value yourself enough that this is what you've got to do and what you need to do? This is what you've got to think about right now. Value. And so this is what I'm suggesting to you right now, that you work in this space, because this is a very important space, right? Because this is where I believe so many people are getting tripped up and things are falling apart in their lives and they're unable to go back and fix it because they don't understand. I stopped valuing myself, my time, my net worth, and I've just allowed anything and anybody else to come in and mess with me. See, you nurtured them and you gave them power over you. Now it's time to dismantle the grip and the hold of these without killing the source. It too must become a value for human life above the scarcity of value you allowed to serve you in it. The fears that you have. If I leave this person, what will happen? If I stay here, what will happen? Man, that's a great time for value examination. Why are you allowing that? Now, please understand this. I want you to understand that this is not some narcissistic journey where it's all about me. It has nothing to do with all about me. Because when you value yourself, inside of your values for yourself, there are value for other people that you have. You respect other people. You respect yourself, but you also respect other people. It's important. It's for your health. It's for your true survival that you reevaluate the values that you have for yourself. It's a release from what you used to be, how you simply live your truth, how you allow that to become antiquated and to become harmful to you, how you allowed it to be reinforced by the people you allowed in your life, and how you started living their values and their truths. And it wasn't an exchange, it wasn't a merger. You just lost yourself. And then when you lost yourself because you didn't value yourself in your time to keep building yourself, becoming spiritually, intellectually, emotionally strong, physically strong, and then you allow for something other to come in and just take over. So now you're in that season of valuing yourself, where you grow, where you mature, where you put in work so you can build your best model, the best version of who you are. It's never too late to change. There's never too fearful a situation that you need to lay down and let it die so you can experience a rebirth. We're living in the age of rebirth. That's a value add. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. You know, they were celebrating Michael Jackson and celebrating Michael Jackson. One of my favorite songs. I'm looking at that man. I'm staring at that man in the mirror, asking him to change his ways. And so, I mean, I remember when that came out and people felt whatever they could feel about Michael Jackson and all this and what his life was all about. But so many preachers preached that sermon. So many people talked about, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. And that was good for me to reconnect with that, because I am looking at the man in the mirror. There's some things that must be eliminated from my life. There are things I've already started to eliminate from my life. I was talking the other day on Thanksgiving as I was thanking God for where I'm at. I had a revelation, what you got, epiphany, that I had lived in one area of my life in fear. It was such a deep, controlling cover up of fear that it actually stopped my forward progress and increased my frustrations in my life. And I said, this has got to go. And I realized that this part of my journey in life is to absolutely gain more for the purpose of leaving a legacy for my family, which is part of my value system. So in that, I put a question mark up in my brain. Should you consider others' estimation of your valuation? In other words, should I consider what somebody else says about me, values about me? If you do, how does this impact your authentic you? And will you share your truth? If someone else has to come along and define you because you haven't put time in to determine that, then do you accept that? And when you're doing that, is that also giving them some type of control, some type of hook inside of you? Isn't it more important for you to take the time, invest the time in yourself, study about personal valuation so you can start working on you? That's why I said, take the 21-day challenge. Write your new values down, your refreshed values. Go ahead and work on your health. Go ahead and work on your mental health. Go ahead and work on your financial health, your work on every part of health for your life over the next 21 days. And if that includes weight loss and other things like that, then do so. But you got to make a personal valuation for yourself. Great time to do it, because again, we're coming to New Year's, and that's when people typically they write New Year's resolutions, because they're doing a personal evaluation of themselves, and there's some avenues of themselves that stinks. What do you do when your personal evaluation or personal evaluation of yourself stinks? Here's some things you can do when your personal valuation, you believe it stinks. It may not be that smelly, but you believe it stinks. So that's what's important. So what do you do when your personal valuation of yourself stinks? Number one, reprogram. Number two, seek a counsel, a therapist, a personal trainer, your pastor. Above all, go to God in prayer. Make sure to not get people in your life who reinforce you as you are, because that's the easy part. That's the part where you don't want to come out. And you should want to come out. You should want to change. You should want to be transformed. Don't start another relationship with this old you. You know, in your personal valuation of yourself is not what you want to be. Don't start another relationship with somebody else You're still in your old you. You're in your old sleep. You're in your old avatar. You're in your old wineskins. This stuff ain't gonna work. It ain't working where you are now, and a new relationship's not gonna make it work. Because if you go into a new relationship for them to try to make you feel good when you are supposed to make yourself feel good, you are supposed to be perfectly single. You should be perfectly whole, so you can bring your perfectly whole, perfectly single self to the table for a relationship so it can be fruitful, it can multiply, and it can increase. Then don't go start a new relationship when you're being unraveled, you're being unhinged, you're coming out of the tethering of your past. Meaning, whoever you bring in your life will now support you where you are going in your new value system if you put in the work. They will help to reinforce your beliefs. You'll both be able to start being true to yourselves. You'll both be able to recognize truth as a tough journey where sometimes you get stuck in a deadly, crippling, stagnant hell of a place. Start with your mini sets. I'm a personal trainer also, right? Do personal training now mostly on me. But I start with mini sets. So 21-day challenge, start with the mini sets. I'm not gonna go do big complex stuff right now. 40, 25, 30 sets of this, that, the other. I'm not in that condition. I don't want to be that thing again. So I'm starting off with mini steps. You know what kind of reps you need. You know the steps to uncover. You know the steps to unravel. You know the steps to unpack what you've hoped to have been. You know the love you've hoped to have received. You know the response from God, the universe, people, what you've hoped for, and what you've received and what you wish to receive. You know what that is. So write those down so you can go ahead and attack those things. Attack them by writing out the honesty of it all, writing out the integrity of how you're going to live it, write out the authenticity of what you're saying because you're not borrowing from somebody else, is what you need. And then start to do it. 21 days, change the whole game. But you have to have an exit strategy. And those who really care, and people that are in an authentic relationship with God and a real friend, if you ever knew or had one, cultivate that again. Bring them back in. See if that's still a valuable relationship. Let it grow. Let it breathe. Don't try to control any part of it. Let love manifest. Let it manifest on its own with its own set of conditions and its own net worth and net value. Get fixed. Get fixed. Lay down your addictions. Close your secret fantasy pain body hotels. Shut down and demolish your high city of emotion, that emotional tower of Babel where you've been on one accord whining to and about God and others because you didn't learn personal self-esteem. You didn't learn how to value yourself. Unbury yourself from every refraction and redaction and outright lie about who you are and about yourself and the ones who impose it on you and you who impose it on yourself because you allowed it. You created it. Get ready for a rebirth of you. This will add new life. It'll add a greater quality to your life. It will add a new relationships because people will be attracted to the rebirth, the new you, in the old ones, the ones that must end, and bring happiness into your life that you need right now. Just make that a priority, make that a value, and make it non-dependent on somebody else so nobody can let you down. There's 11 ways to add value to your life. 1, add a prayerful relationship between you and God in your life. 2, read about the promises and the life of God with his people, what he has for our lives, and meditate on those things. 3, mindfulness. Take a moment to relax and reflect and release. 4, follow your passion. Make sure you're doing what you love. 5, self-care. Treat yourself well, feel beautiful, be powerful. Number 6, be self-aware. Know what your needs, wants, desires, expectations are, and set a time on it. Set a goal for making it happen and set a celebration when it occurs. Make sure in your self-awareness you realize, if you do, that you love people and how you like to love people and how you want them to love you back. 7, simplify your life. Stop complicating your life. When I was younger in business, used to be a big deal. You write your to-do list, and if you had 25, 30 things on it, you seemed like you were important, knowing that you weren't going to get even half of those done in a day. So all it did was to create stress for you. Simplify your life. So many gurus are coming out now, says write down those top 25 things that need to be done. And after you've got them all written down, look at the top 5, do those only, and get rid of the rest of them. Simplify your life. Simplify life. Enhance efficiency. Establish productivity. C. S. Simplify life. E. Establish, enhance efficiencies. And E. Establish priorities. Number 9. Have daily goals. What's your goal for the day? Thank everybody that's chiming in right now. That's going to chime in later. Have a daily goal. Make this a daily goal on Saturday, 11:11, for an hour and 11 minutes or less. We're going to talk about things that are relevant, that are purposeful, that can change the game for your life. Have a daily goal to edit us in for that time. Edit somebody else in for this same time. But set a daily goal. How long are you going to read every day? On the same broadcast, the late great Al Courtney said, hey, listen, man, you can read multiple books in a year. He says what you do is just read 15 minutes a day. And he taught me this 30 years ago. Read 15 minutes a day, and you'll finish a 200-page book in 30 days. And so I started reading. I became a voracious reader, and that just got so ridiculous in reading because I was learning about other places in the world. I was listening to other people's minds and the brilliance of who they are, and I started to see how I can be, I will be, and I am. But I read it. I found great stuff in the book. Have daily goals. How long you gonna read? Live a healthy lifestyle, man. If you got something in your life, attitudes, emotions, people, food, drink, drugs, that's killing your life, get that stuff out your life and do it hastily. Move with the quickness. Be open to change. We need to be open to change, man. The problem with a lot of folks is we don't want to change until we break. And I believe that some of the anger and the angst that's going on right now in this world, the revolt, is because people never changed along the way. Then they just made up their mind. I'm not doing this. I'm not taking this any longer. And then they act out with violence. But you've got to be open to change. Be open to change. The change that needs to happen in your life has to begin with you, and it doesn't have to be violent. It needs to be purposeful. It needs to be on purpose, intentional. Get her done. And then number 11, you need to record your daily I am affirmations and listen to them several hours throughout the day. Listen, you've been listening to the programming of music, noise, other kind of stuff in your life. Now program in the new you. Write your daily I am affirmations and listen to them over and over again. They'll shape you. You'll believe in it. It's your own voice. It's your own heart. You'll feel it. You'll know it. You'll do it. 5 value reflections. You can remember to help yourself remember unconditional acceptance. You can help yourself remember when you had unconditional acceptance. Listen, these are 5 value reflections, and they deal with unconditional acceptance. Watch this. Who was your best friend when you were growing up, and what made you close? Number 2, think about someone who helped you make the transition to a new school, a job, neighborhood, ministry, a church, business. What did that person do to help you the most? Number 3, what's the closest group or team that you've been a part of? Number 4, who planted positive words in your life and gave you praise? Number 5, what's the best compliment of words of encouragement you've ever received in your life? Man, that's just good stuff. Those are 5 value reflections. Who was your best friend when you were growing up and what made you close? Number 2, think about someone who helped you make the transition to a new school, job, neighborhood, ministry, church, business. What did that person do to help you the most? What's the closest group or team that you've been a part of? Who planted positive words in your life and gave you praise? And what's the best compliment of words or words of encouragement you ever received? Man, write those things down, because then it's going to remind you of what unconditional acceptance looks like. It's going to give you a value for unconditional love and for love and the feeling of love. And it's going to help you to tear down the barriers and the walls that you have had to build up because people have hurt you. You've allowed them to hurt you because you lost your value for you. Because somebody was telling you what you are, and somebody was telling you what you're about, and somebody was telling you what you were worth. And you started to believe it. So much of it. I mean, the school system said, we're going to kick you out of DC, Maryland, Virginia schools. You're incorrigible. You're a problem. People were saying you're going to die by the time you get to a certain age. I had rules and regulations about it. Make all A's and B's. I got punished, all kind of stuff. If this didn't get done a certain way by a certain time, it was punishment. I was reminded of the color of my skin in junior high school. You know, with teachers trying to beat on me or kick me or do or say things to me that made me feel like I was undermined, like I was nothing. I was overweight. They called me short, black, fat, and greasy. I mean, I went through and all this stuff, you understand, but I learned how to survive. I learned how to put my mind to work, figure out what was important to me. And against all odds, and in dealing with the pressure of punishment, and dealing with the pressures of survival, and getting away from violence. I did the things that I needed to do. I had to make an exit strategy by building up a plan. Who do I want to be? What does that look like? When is it going to happen? And I've accomplished a lot of those things. And so here recently, I had to make a reevaluation plan because some of my values, the core values haven't changed, but some things have changed in my life, and I have to get some things out of my life in order to get to where I need to be in my life. Now add value to others. It's important to praise your mate and your family members. Think about how you would complete these statements about your mate or your children. It's important to praise them, but think about these statements and think about how you would complete these statements, even practice these statements with your mate or your children. Thank you for. How would you complete that? I thank my wife for being, supportive. I thank my wife for being forward thinking. She's planning all the time. And I had to stop, look, and pay attention to that. You made me feel loved when. What does that look like? How does that look for your children? Give them an opportunity or look at them and share that. Even if it was something really small, it doesn't have to be really big, man. This world is all about really big. And sometimes the best things are the small stuff. I like being with you because my wife and I like to ride around, hang out. I got a doggy now. I like to ride around my wife, my dog, my boy, and hang out. I like being with you because. Tell them why today. I appreciate you because. Because of what? If I've got couples on the line right now, you appreciate your mate because of what? I admire you for. What do you admire them for? Tell them. Write it down. I feel confident that you can what? And if you're a spouse and you lost value for your mate, and you no longer esteem them, and you no longer see value in what they contribute and who they are, and in their brilliance or whatever, then you need to get it back. And you need to remember these last couple of statements. I admire you for, and I feel confident that you can. Get them off of the performance roller coaster that you've created, and you made this big old giant wheel that nobody can complete, not even you. It's a will for failure. It's a will for setting up your relationship and making sure it never works. I feel confident that you can what? You are the thing that is really good at. You are really good at what? What are you really good at? Tell that person about it. You're really, like I tell my wife all the time, you're really good at making this mac and cheese. You're really good at event planning. You're really good at catching a vision about helping people build stuff, for weddings and wedding planning, all that. I tell her all the time. I tell her she's a really good mom. I tell her all the time. And she's one of the best in the world. I tell her she's a really good encourager of my boys. These are things that I share on a reg. Brainstorm creative ways to build up and encourage each other. You got to do that. This is about value. Because when you value yourself, you can learn how to value other people as well. 11 daily affirmations about you to build and appreciate the value of you. Create your own affirmations. I do 11. Record them and play them daily to reprogram you. I'm worthy to receive love. That should top the list. I'm a child of God and heir of salvation. That should be at the top of the list. You said, why do you didn't put that one number one? Because if I don't feel that I'm worthy to receive love, then I can't receive a love from God, whom I can't see, who manifests in different things that he shares with me in prayer and in life to do. I can't value that being an heir of salvation and a child of his if I can't receive and feel unworthy of love. Nor can I have a fruitful relationship if I don't believe that I'm worthy of the love from the other person. You top your list the way you want to top your list. This is mine. I'm not going to judge yours. Don't judge mine. I'm worthy to receive love. I'm a child of God and heir of salvation. Number 3, God loves me and favors me. Number 4, I am loved, appreciated, accepted, and respected by people. I am loved, appreciated, accepted, and respected by people. Number 5, I am an amazing provider. I'm an amazing provider. I am wealthy. And I am healthy. Write those down. Number 6, I am exceptional. I'm not an ordinary Joe. I'm an exceptional dude. I'm exceptional. That might not be for you. And that's not an ego statement from me. That's a fact. I am exceptional. Number 7, I am powerful. Number 8, I'm successful and successful helping others become successful. Number 9, I'm able to get up from my past failures. I'm able to get up from my past failures. Number 10, I'm generous. I love to give. I love to help. I love to encourage. Number 11, I'm going to finish strong, healthy, wealthy, and generous. And this is about values, man, and what you value and what you can choose to believe in and what you can choose to want to have happen in your life. I wanted to take some time out to really encourage you guys in this segment today because that's what it's all about. It's all about your encouragement. It's all about your net worth. It's all about your value. It's all about, you recreating you and why it's important for you to recreate you. It's all about, finding value in your life. If you've forgotten what value is, the beauty, the honesty, the love, the wisdom, support, consideration, appreciation, justice, peace, generosity, honesty, boldness, compassion, courage, confidence, freedom, team spirit, modesty, responsibility, loyalty, integrity, fidelity, and trust lift. Re-examine your values. Re-examine how you live a life of value. Value yourself. Value others. Value life. Value time. Value the benefit of you working a job somewhere. Value the fact that you started your own business and you're successful at your business. Value your health. Value your family. And if your family doesn't accept you, if your family has been taught not to accept you and not to regard you and not to value you, the Lord said himself, he says, who's my mother and my father? Who's my family? Who's my brother? Who's my sister? Those that love the Lord. Come on, it's family. But never feel like you're alone. Never feel like you can't. Value yourself. Build those principles. Build behaviors. that support the values that you have for your life. And don't be so overly critical, so overly judgmental when you stumble in some of your values. But also don't make just blatant excuses so you can keep on just doing things where you miss the mark. And you make it worse for somebody else's life. You make impact on somebody else's life, and they've got to carry you and pick you up, and you start to get comfortable with that. No, you got to put your work in. You got to pick yourself up. You got to create those values. You got to value your time and value the education that you give to your soul, to your mind. Remember, appreciate yourself, appreciate other people. These are values. And I just want to take this time, and hopefully it made some impact. Hopefully it's coming at the right time, because I was deeply moved because of all the murdering, all the hurt and the pain, countries at war, and people going into Walmarts and going into other grocery stores, and going into places of businesses, and doing things to other people. They have a value of those people somehow, good, bad, or indifferent, no judgment. But when it comes down to killing and taking someone's life, we don't value life enough. When our character doesn't check off our behavior, we don't have enough value. And we don't love enough. And love is a value. It's a virtue, but it's also a value. And we need to love more than we've ever loved before in our lives. Hate, good, bad, or indifferent. Hopefully you got blessed in some respect by this today. I appreciate you, and I thank you for enduring this time. Our time is up. Hey, do me a favor. Contact somebody. Share this out. Let them know what's been going on. And from a Facebook group, hey, I know this thing has been popping on and off. I see it myself. But pass it on. God bless you guys. We'll see you soon. Take care. Time is up, gang. You all be good. You all be awesome. Stay amazing. I appreciate everything you've done. It's time.